This morning's tactical enhancement is caffeinated because it's morning. This morning we're playing Warhammer 8th edition in the bloody morning, which seems wrong because it's not a tournament. But this is what we've got to do just to get a game in these days. So it's 1,600 points. My Dark Elves, same army I took recently against Emilio's Orcs and Goblins, but this time against Andrew's Empire. Right, Andrew, talk us through what you've got.
Okay, so starting this side, I got Demigriff Knights with halberds. Probably one of them's broken off. Next to them is a Great Swords with a Battle Standard Bearer, Warrior Priest, level 2 Mage.
Lovely.
Next to them is a Blocker Spearman.
That's right, Leopold's fellows.
Yep.
Don't they look pretty? Look at that.
Next to them is the Empire General on a Pegasus. Then a unit of Inner Circle Knights led by a Warrior Priest.
Alright, these are the Strength 4 guys.
Yep.
Led by a Warrior Priest. So you got a Mage, a Warrior Priest, and Captain Fantastic, who routinely assassinates my characters, actually. So that's basically his role in all of this. On the Dark Elf side, we have 10 Dark Shards. We're going to move up on a hill and make a nuisance of themselves. The Hydra, the first of the toothy fellows. We have 25 Corsairs, led by Elvira, level 4 in this list. Then we've got 5 of the Cold One Knights, another Hydra, 10 more of the Dark Shards, and there's a assassin loitering around the place. There's also a 4-year-old loitering around the place, which I'm going to try and blur that out in the video. And if we have a look at the battlefield, we have a bit of a strange arrangement. Andrew clustered all his forces together into a nice synergized mass over there. And I thought, I don't really want to take that on its own terms. Andrew put the first unit down, so I've deployed opposite the town. I thought we'd call this little village Horrordale. It's probably appropriate for Warhammer. And so we're going to try and break up that massive slab of Empire stuff attacking over there. And not quite sure how we'll do that yet, but that's the objective. It's a battle line, straight up fight. And we'll check in at the end of the first player's turn 1. The Empire army has advanced quickly as they can. There's no shooting in the army at all, we just realised, which is bizarre for the Empire army. I'm used to copying multiple cannonballs in the face, but I'll quite happily enjoy the reprieve, especially with Hydras. Captain Fantastic has made a nuisance of himself already. And his cavalry over there in the flank have decided not to circle around the village into the full face of the entire Dark Elf line. So it's going to get, there's going to be a bit of manoeuvre in this game. We'll, no magic, just because there's nothing worth casting at the moment. We will check in at the end of Dark Elves turn 1. In the Dark Elves turn, we shuffled up some crossbow who took a couple of shots at the Demigriffs and did nothing. We redeployed this fellow to help guard this flank. We moved these Dark Shards into the building. It's placed there for convenience. Try and deal with what's coming around the village, and the rest moved up. That's it. No other magic or anything, nothing's in range, so it's a very uneventful turn 1. It's midway through turn 2, the Empire have just had their turn. Now, Captain Fantastic has gone and redeployed himself over here. No doubt to help the Knights deal with this. The Knights are still sitting back waiting. The infantry have moved up. The demigriffs doing a big long flank around the trees. Now, in the magic phase, the warrior priest, it turns out there's two of them. One in the great swords. He must feel very comfortable next to the mage. And one on the horses there, he's probably happier. They both buffed their units with 5+ ward saves. And then Andrew tried to cast some Burning Bolt, which we managed to dispel. Then he dropped a bunch of fireballs on these chaps and knocked out half of them. So my right flank is, well, it's not going to stand up to that very long. First blood to the Empire, now for the Dark Elves. Right, well that's Andrew's first dispel roll for the game. That one got through. At the end of turn 2, the Dark Elves are moving up. It's a bit of a bottleneck. Might not work very well. Didn't think that through. I did get a little carried away deploying terrain earlier today. I thought it might be a problem, but there you go. Now, magic didn't roll very high. We did manage to get off some Doom Bolt sort of thing. And I rolled a cluster of 1s. I then rolled boxcars for 12 strength 5 hits against this fellow, 9 wounds. Turns out that he's got a 1+ armor with a reroll, and he saved 8 of those 9 wounds. And might I just say, I have a pathological hatred of this guy. I've been trying to kill this guy in battles for years. And the only time I've ever seen this guy die in a battle, for all the cannonballs and handguns and every other fucking thing I've thrown at it, Andrew had the disservice of getting him killed in a tournament against some other player. So he's lost 1 wound, and we'll see how we go. The other spell I tried to get off didn't work. On the other flank, I hocked my 10 shots at the plate armored fellows over here, and we got 1. Wasn't expecting a lot, to be honest, but that's the first blood for the Dark Elves. We'll check in as turn 3 progresses. Well, this is turning into one of the weirder games we've played. The demigriffs have come around, and everyone's decided that there's no fucking point in marching your entire army around here to get slowly shot at and achieving very little. So Andrew's done a swift reform, and he's marching the infantry back around the town to where the fight's gonna be. The knights have backed off a little bit. Captain Fantastic's put himself in the position to be at maximum annoyance. And there's a ward save on those great swords, and there was going to be a ward save on those knights, but I managed to dispel that. That's it for the turn. I better start getting something that fucking work so we actually get some action this game. We'll check in at the end of Dark Elf, turn 3. Okay, end of turn 3. I think we're up to.
Yes. We're still at turn 4 and we haven't actually done anything to ourselves.
it's going
You've
rather...
done more damage to your own army than I've done to you.
Yeah, it's all going rather wrong. Okay, so we move these guys out, because otherwise these crossbows get to shit at nothing. It may well invite retribution from these guys, but we need to force something to happen in this game. This Hydra is on the move. Probably the crossbows there to distract these guys from just ganging up on the Hydra. These infantry here moved up and shot, did nothing at the back of these guys. This fellow's not here, he's just a shadow on the wall. He's actually hiding in a unit somewhere. Now over here, it's a bit of a bottleneck. I'll explain. That guy wants to charge my infantry in the back. He may well end up killing off all of these Cold Bond Riders instead, but I figure I've got better odds there than letting him get in the back of the line. Magic was a woeful 4. 4 dice, no buffs or anything. I chucked them all into a template, the Vortex or whatever the hell it is. And of course then rolled a misfire, it went backwards. That's where it is now, right next to my lines. It'll now proceed to move randomly. It's killed 4 of my guys already. That's what I was hoping to kill with it, and it didn't work. So pretty much everything in this game is really not working very well. But we'll check in at the end of the Empire turn 4. and see if we've actually managed to get anything to work. Okay, halfway through turn 4, and it looks like the Demigryph Knights have come out to play. We'll see what happens there. Andrew's moving up with his usual trap. Magic bumped off a couple of guys. And unfortunately, this fellow here, he charged into the back of my cold ones. And he has got, what's that thing called?
Runefang?
Runefang. He's given a captain Runefang.
No, he's a general.
Oh, he's a general. He's a Lord Runefang. I probably should have paid
Well,
attention to that.
I should probably promote him by now.
Yeah, he used to be a captain.
Yeah.
All right, now he's a general with a Runefang. That's lovely. Which weirdly does less damage in the back of a rank and file unit than it does in the back of the cold ones. So if I'd realised what was going on, I should have moved the cold ones back to, say, about here. Or maybe would charge them anyway, I guess. Or otherwise protected the cold ones from that guy by maybe using the rank and file. But yeah, if I'd done that, they would have been out of position. Basically, I've stimulated myself with everything from the setup of the fucking battlefield onwards.
Bottlenecks everywhere.
Oh, that was not smart, putting a whole fucking village there. Still, things are going rather badly. I've just lost an entire unit of cold ones, 195 points, although it's worth noting that general is worth 260 points. A 1600 point gain. Then again, I took a level 4 mage. I can't complain.
Yeah, and two hydras.
And 2 hydra. Well, that's, yeah, look, admittedly, this is everything I've painted, and I'm trying not to use things I've not painted. But don't they look pretty as they all die? There we go. Well, mainly as mine die, let's be honest.
Well, I am trying to get them into combat.
You're not trying very hard. Your knights have moved even
went
further away.
I went the wrong direction to begin with, so I've had to turn around the entire army and come back.
Maybe I should have just fronted up in front of them and fought. That might have actually been smarter.
Just a massive, thing right here.
I could have shot the shit out of them on the way in.
Exactly.
It seemed boring. I thought I'd try and maneuver. It's always a dangerous idea.
Yeah, we've had 4 turns of maneuvering so far.
Yeah, well, let's see if I can roll, I don't know, boxcars or something again and not have repeating armor saves. I don't know. Fuck it. I'll check it at the end of the Dark Elf turn 4. End of turn 4. Dark Elves had their turn. Bit of shooting here. Knocked a couple of wounds off of these guys. Best I could have hoped for there. We manoeuvred this guy out of the charge arc of these chaps. 2 turns worth of movement to try and get in immediately with something. These guys moved around, knocked off maybe 1 spear if they're lucky, I can't remember. Now, in the magic phase, we finally got the bloody vortex off. It's all the way over there, and it bumped off 12 of these great swords. That was good. We'll try and, oh, hey, there's the casualty pile there. We'll try and do some more with that. The assassin sprang his ambush against this fellow. So I'm starting to think it was a stupid idea. I should have just, that might have been a stupid idea, I don't know, but the assassin died. So we're still locked in combat. Things aren't working out particularly well there. But it's now the start of turn 5. We'll push on with this. The clock's ticking, so we'll just try and kill as much shit as possible in 2 turns. So Andrew's doing his movement for turn 5, and he's pointed out that Captain Fantastic, or General Fantastic now, has totally fucked things up, because what he really wanted was my line to march forward into the trap, and now that's not going to happen. So he's going to turn these infantry around. Again. Presumably to kill off these fellas. And the rest of his army is just hanging back and not fighting. Well, I guess we'll just do another turn and we'll see what happens. So Andrew's just rolled 3 for the magic phase. He's pointed out this is the weirdest game we've had in a very, very long time. So little is actually working. He's actually moved his Demigryphs here into the charge, so that'll fill them nicely. Didn't wound anything on the shooting. Oxen magic, Andrew. What are you going to do?
I'm going to throw 3 dice to a fireball at the Hydra, which is the only thing I can hit.
Alright.
Which won't do anything, but...
What have you done there? 6, 7, 8, plus whatever.
No, still okay, alright.
Well, we stopped that bastard, didn't we?
I'm starting to hate this witch.
Right, now at the end of turn 5 for the Empire, and unsurprisingly, the Demigryphs cleaned up all of those crossbows in one big bloody massacre. Andrew wants my Hydra to come out and be charged by them next, and my answer to that is fucking no!
Come on, the Battle of the Titans.
It's not a Titan, it's a Hydra. And they're my pets. Over here, this fucking idiot has killed another 5 guys, but that unit's steadfast, sticking around. Not going to be a lot of combat, really. Over here, well, I've got to work out what to do about that, but it's turned around to face. And magic achieved nothing, as you saw earlier. So over to turn 5 for the Dark Elves. Okay, turn 5 for some shit finally fucking happened. We moved up this Hydra into here. We moved these infantry into this building here. So if they charge, hopefully they'll be stuck in position and the Hydra can fight them. Failing that, this guy moved up so that if those knights do charge in, hopefully there's infantry hold, and then I'll counter-charge with the Hydra. I don't actually know if that'll work. It might have been smarter to leave the Hydra there in the first place. We got a couple of spells off, and we dumped a whole lot of wounds off of this guy. So vortex over there in the corner. Managed to do that without blowing up the mage this time. And she stole a wound by killing one of these fellas. So the mage now has 4 wounds. A bit of shooting did very little. Okay, then what happened is that I thought, hang on a minute, that mage has a black amulet. So I issued a challenge and fought Pegasus General. This is the guy I've been failing to kill for, well, several years, ever since Andrew collected this fucking army. He rolled up 3 hits with the bloody great big blade. I rolled 4 saves with the ward. And when this thing passes a ward save, it inflicts a wound on the person who attacked them with no armor save. He doesn't have a ward. He's got a thing which gives him a 1+ armor save with a reroll. So how long have you had this army?
I don't know, a couple of decades now, I reckon.
Couple of decades. Yeah, I've been playing this a long time. I've completely failed to kill him every fucking battle for decades, and the bastard finally kills himself. And Andrew's now looking up the rules to see if I've read them incorrectly. Okay, turn 6 for the Empire, and the Spears have reformed to fight the Hydra. I'm going to have to fight. The cavalry tried to charge in, but they spent so much time backing away when they finally rolled to charge. They're too far away. But I guess that's what you do in order to not get charged by Hydra. And the mage did a little bit of damage to these guys, killed a couple. Andrew actually had 10 dice. Then he rolled 6 dice to do a big powerful fireball. Did not get any double 6s, and I rolled 6 dice to dispel, and that stopped that from happening. So that was left Andrew looking very disappointed, I have to say. So I think if nothing else, I just have to get that fucking Hydra into melee, give Andrew a chance to kill something more. Actually, you're ahead on points at the moment, but I'll see what I can do.
Demigris.
Well, the Demigris, I'm not going to get in combat anyway.
They don't do anything, are they?
Yeah. Well, they did whack 120 points worth of stuff.
Okay, and they're worth 174. Oh.
Okay, well, it ended in a bloodbath after all of that. Oh, the magic went thick and fast, and I killed a whole bunch of spear, about a dozen or so of them. This Hydra here bumped off another 7 guys here out of those blokes, but they failed to rout. Then we charged these crossbow out of the building into the spear along with the Hydra, and we just massacred them until there's only 10 left out of like 39 originally, and what was left ran away. So we got them and their standard. So at the end of the battle, let's see, the general's worth 260, plus he's a general, so it's 360. How much is that unit worth?
Well, I worked it out, you got 589 points all up.
So I killed 589 points. Against that, Andrew killed unit of crossbows, they're 120, unit of knights, they're 195, so up to 315. 475 points when you factor in the assassin. But to be an actual victory, you've got to do double the points to the other guys. So technically this is a tie. All I can say is that we've thoroughly depopulated each other's armies. And after 6 turns of maneuver, what a fucking bloodbath. How many dead guys did I kill there?
30, probably around 55, 60.
55 or 60 dead Empire soldiers in a 1600 point game. And you bumped off 10, 15, 25, probably about 30. 2-to-1 kill ratio.
Okay, I'm happy with that with elves.
Well, that's not bad if I give my box standard guys weigh in at about 12 points each against whatever yours are.
About 5 points.
5 points each.
something ridiculous like that.
But you know what? I could have lost horribly and I'd still be happy because for the first time ever, that motherfucker leaves dead. Well, what have we learned?
That level 4 mage did 90% of the damage here, really.
A fair bit.
Really got to find a way to counter that mage of yours.
Well, she might counter herself one day. She did miscast at least once.
Oh, she did actually miscast and we didn't roll for it.
Oh, we did. She knocked a wound off herself.
No, but she rolled 3 6s with her last spell.
Oh, and we forgot to also do the additional damage on those guys because 3d6 strength 1 wounds on those guys.
Well, they're dead anyway. But
Oh,
yeah.
well, we'll roll on the miscast table and we'll see what happens. That's 5. Let's see what that is on the miscast table. Note to self, don't use so many fucking page markers, it defeats the purpose.
It's very colourful.
Miscast, Calamitous Detonation. Center the small round template over the wizard. Every model underneath, including the wizard, takes a strength 10 hit and d6 dice lost in the power pool. Well, it would up the casualties by about 5, but it won't make a difference to the actual outcome of the game. I could re-roll that, but I think that would be tempting fate. We won't do that. Well, so lesson number 1: kill the fucking mage.
Kill the mage. She is so dangerous.
That's for lessons learned for me. If the enemy doesn't have any shooting, maybe she should actually fucking fight it. I could have sat there and hopped 40 crossbow at you every turn, plus some magic on the way in, rather than all this dicking around that we did.
Yeah, we spent literally 4 turns just circling the battlefield.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not doing anything, and then it all sort of happened in the last turn.
See, I'm so used to you being very dangerous on the maneuver and everything else that you do that I had this great idea that maybe I'll just not play into your hand as to what you're trying to do. But it ended up not playing into my hands either. What else can we say about this game?
No, it was still like a really enjoyable game. I've never fought Dark Elves before. There's some exceptionally dangerous stuff like the Hydras. They're breath weapons, stomp attacks, they just eat infantry.
Oh yeah.
But I knew I was going to be facing them, so I actually took 2 cavalry units that were designed to take them on.
Yep.
Because my knights, my inner circle knights, had the banner of eternal flame, so all their attacks were flaming.
Oh, yep, okay.
And of course the inner circle's on the charge at strength 6. They're re-rolling hits because they got a warrior priest. They really should have charged in and done something. And then these guys, they'd go toe to toe with
These guys.
with the Hydra for sure.
Yeah, they go with their attacks in first, so they'll rip its thing down, so when it hits back it's got less attacks.
And then the great swords and the spearmen were going to gang up on these guys, and this guy was going to kill the knights. Which, okay, that actually worked. Nothing else worked though.
Well, on that note, I'm suddenly glad I spent 4 turns dicking around the forest, around the village and not fighting.
Yeah, he's literally there just to kill knights. That's all he's there for.
Normally he just goes and wipes out my dwarven gun line. It's a very unpleasant experience, but seems to happen repeatedly.
No, I've upgraded him to Night Killer, which yeah, he does quite well. But that was the plan, yeah. And the Demigryphs and the Knights to take on the Hydras, my infantry to take on your infantry. That was the plan.
When I was planning for this game, I actually thought I was going to lose both Hydras to cannons before we got anywhere in the game.
Oh, I decided not to bring cannons because it's just... In a small game, it would have too much of an impact.
Yeah.
Just to sit on my battle line hopping, cannonballs at you.
Yeah, yeah. Well, this army's still under development, so I don't have many counters for that at this point. But hopefully, we'll in the future. I thought I was going to have to use magic to try and take the damn things down.
Yeah, I could just sit on my baseline with cannons and steam tanks and Hellblaster volley guns, and it's not much of a game.
No, that's what you do if you want to win tournaments and lose friends.
Yes, yes. No, this was much more fun that we actually had units that maneuver and fight against each other.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. And I didn't lose. That's always reassuring. For people who are new to my carry-on, Andrew tends to win, particularly against me. And I do pretty well at tournaments back when we could still actually do tournaments and enough people playing it. But I come second or third at a tournament. Once I came first, I think. Then get my ass handed to me by Andrew. So any day where I don't lose is a good day. And on that note, the wives are calling us. So it's time.
And our kids. And
the kids have figured out how to use phones. Woohoo! On that note, it's time to call it a day. Thanks for watching. See you next time.